Listen, guys, when it comes to Alex Pereira, I'm probably the worst. I'm probably the absolute worst at predicting it, but I'm going to give myself some excuses, all right? So allow me to just give myself some excuses for the absolute poor prediction I've had about him. Um, and I think it relates to even Max Holloway. It's um, one part of me, whenever I think about fights and I try to break down these fights, I think to myself, as an MMA fan, we've seen it happen over and over and over again where something great is happening, but every great thing must come to an end. We've talked about Max Holloway's chin for so long, that his chin was extremely durable, that he's never been knocked down, that he's never been knocked out in so many fights. And now that he was facing Justin Gaethje, the most powerful lightweight, in my mind, I was like, it has to be cracked. It cannot go on like it's not a fairy tale. We live in reality on planet Earth, and the clouds are gray sometimes. It's not, like today. It's gray, cloudy days. It's the reality that we live in. And maybe I tend to be pessimistic at times when beautiful things happen like this. I'm like, all right, we just live in a fairy tale, but the reality is everybody is human and every chin is going to get cracked one day, right? It's probably the truth, but the truth was it was not yesterday for Max Holloway because Max Holloway endured so many of Gaethje's power punches and he stayed in there. He got knocked out once. It was called a slip. We're going to call it a slip for the rest of humanity because he still hasn't been knocked down yet. So when I make my prediction, I sometimes base myself off of that. Like he's been so good at one thing, it has to be done. It has to be at some point. The finish line is approaching, right? Max Holloway. I'm gonna talk about Pereira in a few seconds, but before I end with Max Holloway, I mean he's been in so many wars. He's been fighting since he's 20 years old in the UFC, and he's been in so many battles. Now he's 32 years old. Am I crazy for thinking, all right, at one point the damage is gonna catch up to him and he's gonna get knocked out and by Justin Gaethje? I don't think I was crazy for thinking that, but Max Holloway proves that he's made from something different. His chin is made of something different and it's still yet to being cracked. Now, when it comes to Pereira, it's similar. It's similar to this, but it's just pure greatness. Because since he's been in the UFC, it's been nothing but pure greatness, nothing but accomplishment and achievements. And I've been thinking to myself, like, it has to come to an end. It cannot just go on like this forever, even though I would think, statistically speaking, I'm a bit of a fool for picking Jamal Hill. Like 2020's, what's the quote? 2020 is always um 2020 is always, what's the quote? I have to find the quote. Oh yeah, it was hard for me to find it, but hindsight is always 2020 is the quote I wanted to use, and I feel like I even lost my train of thought trying to find this specific quote. Why am I the way that I am? Why do I have to find the quote? Why can't I just move on? Why can't my brain allow just skipping this? I don't remember this. Just move on. I can't. I have to Google this, but now I forgot what I was even talking about. I think I was saying that after making a prediction or after saying something, after something happens, it just seems like it makes total sense, like, who I should have picked. And in this situation, when you look back at it, it feels like Pereira was an obvious pick. Why did I value Jamal Hill so highly? Why did I think Jamal Hill was so good? And I think deep down it wasn't that I think Jamal Hill was better. I just think that Pereira was gonna be was Pereira's reign couldn't last this long. Somebody's greatness can't be this long. It's so rare that we see somebody being consistently great. Do you understand what I mean by that? Please try to understand. So many guys come and go. So many guys become champion and leave. So many guys, have a few title fights and a small short reign, but very few can last in this sport, especially in this sport, but in every other sport. I mean, some of the greatest athletes of all times are just guys that have been consistently great, right? So, am I crazy for thinking that being consistently great is hard? I don't think so. All right, that's my excuse that I give to you, and it's the reason why I didn't pick Pereira. Not because I didn't think he could win this, but I just think being consistently great is so difficult, and he's been so consistently great that I was thinking, all right, it has to be done now. All right, the reign is going to be over, but he proved me wrong again. And After UFC 295, I made a video titled "I Can't Believe What Alex Pereira is Doing," and I'm still not over it. I'm still not over it. 36 years old. He got in the UFC. I think he was 34. So 2 years that he's been in the UFC now, maybe a little less. Fought in 2 different divisions. Became champion in 2 divisions, in both divisions that he's fought. Fought so many different champions, beat them all, and effortlessly. I mean, it's incredible what he's doing, and it almost seems like he's becoming more and more confident each fight. Obviously, 205 pounds is clearly his division. Making 185, I feel like it actually hurted his performances a little bit, because what we're seeing from him now, like just his durability, his strength, his power, it seems ridiculous. But he didn't really get I was going to say cracked. He didn't get cracked by Jamal Hill enough for me to say that his chin is good, but he did get cracked a few times by Jan Blachowicz and by Yuri Prohaska, and it feels like his chin is a bit more stable at 205 than it was at 185. Every time Adesanya would land something halfway clean, he would wobble a little bit at 185, whereas 205, he seems a little bit more, dense and durable and able to take some damage. But I don't know. When I was breaking down this fight, I thought Jamal Hill's is very good at pressuring guys, on the fence, is usually the one pressuring, and he wasn't during that fight. He was the one backing off, and Pereira was the one actually dictating the pace and the pressure. So it's crazy to see. But whatever happens next, I feel like the fight to make is UFC 301, Alex Pereira versus Tom Aspinall. I feel like it makes the most amount of sense. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira is definitely a fight that can happen, but, Pantoja and Erceg cannot headline UFC 301. Please, guys. Please. Let's make something better than this. And I know we've demanded and asked from Alex Pereira so much, but might as well ask him one more, right? And, he didn't take much damage in this fight. He can probably turn around and fight Tom Aspinall right away. Don't cut any weight. It would just make for, no risk situation for Pereira as well, because if he does get knocked out by Tom Aspinall, he can still come back down and fight Magomed Ankalaev in a great fight at 205. So I feel it makes sense for them to do it. Tom Aspinall's been looking for that fight. He's been teasing about it. It's the fight to make, in my opinion. And it's in Brazil, and the magnitude of it, and also the fact that they have Pantoja versus Erceg as the main event is the most craziest part about it. So I think Pereira's asking for it. Tom Aspinall would be absolutely down to do it. Why not? Why not do it? I don't know. I feel like it makes sense. But, Alex Pereira's performance was absolutely insane. And should we talk about the fact that he demanded Herb Dean to get out of his way without even having to look at him before knocking Jamal Hill out? It's absolutely insane. The moment, what happened, and like the whole sequence together, it's incredible. But I see a lot of people a little mad at Jamal Hill and hating on him for trash talking the way that he did. But let's be honest, guys, like, we needed Jamal Hill to build up this card a little bit. Nobody was really doing anything when it comes to trash talk and building a fight together. So I appreciate Hill for doing it. I appreciate Hill for trying and not being afraid to show his emotions, show his confidence. And it takes guts to do it. So please don't be the type of guy that like bashes someone for showing that guts, because it's already hard enough to go in there and be confident and show that confidence. That we shouldn't make fun of someone for showing that confidence and not going his way. It's unfortunate. It happens. Jamal Hill is definitely not the kickboxer that Alex Pereira is, and it's kind of foolish for everybody. Well, I don't want to say everybody, because most people thought Pereira was the best one, but for Hill specifically, the thing that it was the game plan to go for. Like, I don't know why trying to be so egotistical about it. I thought he should have just shot the takedowns and try to engage in the clinch positions, and all of it I think would have been very valuable for him. But outside of that, in terms of just the promotion of it and Jamal Hill trying to promote the fight, you have to respect him for doing it. He seems like in the perfect frame, extremely strong, extremely powerful. And some of his techniques, you don't learn this when you go to a Muay Thai class or you go to a kickboxing class. You don't learn what Pereira's doing. like not rotating his hips on the kicks, not rotating his hips on the hooks. How can he create this much power from his punches is surreal. It's like, I don't know. He barely even landed on heel clean. It was like, it was halfway, but it was enough power to put Jamal Hill out. And I think, like I said before, seeing that fight against Aspinall would be great. I'd probably favor Aspinall. Unfortunately, I'd be once again against Pereira. It'd be very difficult, but just because I know Aspinall would try to take him down. I know he would try to grapple. He wouldn't just strike with Pereira. And, I mean, Aspinall just beat Pavlovich, who's the most powerful guy, or I should say was the most powerful guy at heavyweight. Just, like, knocked 6 dudes out in the first round. So, all I'm saying is it would be an extremely interesting matchup. I would be very hyped to see it. Alex Pereira is an absolute Chad. And I'm sorry for doubting him so many times. I'm sorry. I don't doubt him, but I just doubt the consistent performances. We don't see it often, and sometimes I let this part of me, create some doubt in my mind. It's not like, is this guy good? We know someone is good. We know Max Holloway has a granite chin. We know Alex Pereira is incredibly good. But can they be consistently good? Can they be consistently, iron and titanium chin? Can they be? That's the part where I'm like, yes, that's the question I often ask myself every time there's a great champion. It's not about if he's great. It's just about, can he be consistently great? And that was the question I was asking myself. But Pereira proved me wrong. Max Holloway proved me wrong. And listen, I'm very happy to be wrong with these two picks. I'm very happy for both of them. And hopefully they make Pereira versus Tom Aspinall for UFC 301. I feel like it's the fight that makes the most amount of sense. So, yeah, let me know what your thoughts about the main event was. I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace out.